Hi, I'm Ashton. Welcome to I'm Not Trying to Kill You. We have four lovely people joining me today. Derek has mysteriously disappeared. There we
I was
go.
sliding.
Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. I ruined your lovely entrance. Derek, tell us about yourself. Tell us your pronouns, what you do, who you are.
So my name is Derek. I'm a gamer from Sydney. I'm a part of the Dice Stormers. You can check us out on YouTube and on Twitter at Dice Stormers. And I'm a he.
Cool. Excellent. Emily, who are you? What do you do? Pronouns.
Okay, am I talking correctly the
You
first
are
time this time?
talking correctly. We have the audio
Excellent.
sorted.
That
Fantastic.
was a
Hi,
rehearsal before.
yeah, exactly. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm an artist and filmmaker. You can find me on Twitter at Blackwall Says, and my pronouns are she, hers, please.
Cool. Awesome. And Luke.
Hello, I'm Luke. I am a professional GM for children, and I'm a game designer sometimes. And now I guess I'm quite certain that I wrote this game. They, them pronouns, please.
Excellent. And Andrew, who are you? What are your pronouns? What do you do? And you muted.
Oh dear.
I'm Andrew. I'm muted. I do a bunch of roleplay shows on like the Roll20 channel and some other channels here and there about the internet. And I have also designed a game called Girl by Moonlight, and I use they them pronouns.
Cool. Awesome. Now, Luke, I'm going to get you to be the guide for this game today,
Hey.
because
All right.
you maked it, and so if it's not good, it's your fault.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll cop that.
That seems highly unlikely.
All right. So, do you want to like give us the intro and like let's get going? Oh,
Yeah, cool.
Sorry, I'm Ashton. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
Good information to have. Yeah, so this is a game that I wrote. It's called Across the Endless Sea. It's inspired by the strain of like surreal sea voyaging that you see in a bunch of fantasy stuff, like Wizard of Earthsea and Voyage of the Dawn Treader, um, and a bunch of mythologies around the world. It's a story game, so we're all gonna collaboratively do it together. There's no GM in this game. Uh, and yeah, we're just going to play out like a series of vignettes that collectively will tell the story of a journey across the endless sea. In terms of how this game works, it doesn't have any dice. Shocking, I know. Basically, how it works is if everyone in Roll20 opens up game rules, if Derek finds the piece of paper with the same title, yeah, so how this game works is we have a series of encounters. During each encounter, one player will take on the role of the Endless Sea, and then the rest of the players will elect someone to be like to lead the people in overcoming the encounter, and they will narrate back and forth according to some questions and some rules and some mechanics, and then they'll figure out how badly or well it goes for them, and then that encounter will be done, and then we will proceed onwards and we will have another encounter, and so on and so forth until we are done with the game. I think I might save talking about the actual like mechanics of how encounters work until we actually get started with those, so that we can get into things. So, if someone would like to volunteer to read out the exciting flavor text for this game.
I can do
I'm
it. I have an
happy.
exotic
Oh, yeah.
accent.
Oh my, it's very true. You do. Your exotic Canadian accent. Yeah, Andrew. So if you could please find it's called Start Page in Roll20.
Yeah, and it says to
Um,
start, pick someone to read this aloud.
if
Follows
you
from that
could
prompt.
read that out for us, please.
The endless sea flows out beyond the horizon. Its tides and stars are strange, and its weather wild and treacherous. Each island and outcrop that breaks the surface is more perilous and wondrous than the last. Outlandish travelers roam the face of the water, while weirder creatures lurk beneath. Across this dreamlike expanse, there are people making a long journey. The people are travelers, wanderers, voyagers. They are known for their keen eyes, their skillful hands, their lovely voices. Their hearts are as untamed as the sea itself, and their memories as deep. They journey towards a far-off destination, hoping for a safe arrival. They journey across the endless sea.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So so today we're gonna play the story of those people on their journey. So this game borrows design inspiration from Avery Alder's Dream Askew, in that the like confrontational kind of adversarial role that would normally be played by a GM is split up between all of the players. So everyone is going to have a playbook that represents some aspect of the people, their eyes, their voices, their hearts, their hands. And everyone is also going to have a playbook that controls some facet of the Endless Sea, its islands, its weather, its waters, etc. So the first thing that we have to do is we got to pick who wants what.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Yeah, there's no explicit like they don't come in set pairs, if that makes sense. You can pick and choose and combine them in any order you'd like. It would be cool if we had the lore of the people and the spirits of the Endless Sea in play, because those are some like bonus expansion playbooks that I've been working on recently that haven't been playtested yet. But like, if no one is feeling those, that's also totally chill.
And just a quick question. I think I'm looking at the handouts, but I don't know if it's just me. But anytime I click on a handout, all I get is just like a blank thing that says GM notes only visible to
I'm
GM,
getting
but I
that
can't
also.
see the actual content of it.
Weird.
You might have to download it.
Because I think I did
I'll
set
do
to be
that anyway.
edited by or to be in everyone's journals.
It's in our journals. It's just not showing up.
That's
Yeah.
weird.
In the meantime, I'm
Oh.
gonna grab the PDFs. So
They're showing up for me. You might need to refresh in
Ah.
Roll20 if the
Okay.
permissions were changed after you loaded stuff up.
I'll do that.
That
Good
is
idea.
entirely possible, because you have been on since before I started fiddling with things.
Yep. Okay, doke.
Also, so all of the aspect playbooks are in the top of Roll20 as pages, so everyone will get to hang out on theirs.
Oh, cool. I see. Gotcha.
Yep. And then all of the facet playbooks are in handouts.
It still seems like it's doing that thing, but I can see the pages. But yeah, the handouts are not quite displaying for me. But
right.
theoretically, if everything that is there is also available in the PDFs, then I've got
Yeah,
everything.
it's everything I just uploaded from the PDFs. So
Yep, I'm good then. That's fine.
Yep. So, what are people feeling like in terms of playbooks?
I don't know. I feel like the voice of the people is calling to me. I don't know why, but I think that sounds cool, so I might take that. If
Yeah.
anyone
Awesome.
objection.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Self of them. Heart of people. What were the new ones that you said, Luke?
Yeah, so the new aspect playbook is the lore of the
The
people,
law of the people. Yeah.
LAW.
Oh,
And then
Oh.
and then the new facet of the Endless Sea is the spirits of the Endless Sea.
Oh, that's cool too. I think I'm liking the sound of the memory of the people. Personally.
Well, I
I
guess
feel-
I'll play something else then.
Oh, dang it. It was the rituals thing. I mean, I can't go past anything that says rituals on it. Like,
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, look, Andrew, that just means that you can have dibs on playing the spirits of the Endless Sea. It's fine. Like,
this is fair.
Yep. So we'll do that, and I'll be the heart of the people.
cool. Ash?
Yeah, I'm just trying to decide between So we haven't got anyone. Have we got someone playing law yet?
We do
No.
not know.
Let me have a look. 'Cause I think it's in.
All right. So while Ash thinks, do other people have any preferences for facets that they would like to play?
I think I want to play hands. I'm sorry, Luke.
No, that's totally cool. All right, you're gonna do hands. So then, look, fuck it. I guess I'll take the law of the people.
Yeah, playtest your own stuff. Jeez.
Yeah, playtest my own shit. Jesus, why am I being so lazy? Yeah. Well, no, I'm. That's fine. You're gonna also playtest my stuff, Andrew. So it's okay. I don't have to do all the work. Yeah. So we've got Andrew's playing spirits. Does anyone else have a preference as far as facets of the Endless Sea?
I like the sound of weather.
Yep. A good solid choice.
Yeah.
Oh, the handouts are displaying correctly for me now. Hooray!
Hey.
Good. There was one that I saw that I liked, but I can't remember which one it was now.
Alright, now, yeah, I'm trying to decide between, because, like, yeah, Dwellers and Travelers both appeal to me.
They're both strong choices.
Good, I'm glad I'm playing optimally.
I mean, like, thematically strong. There's no such thing as optimal play in this game. There's no numbers.
It's a good build. It's a good build, Ash. You're going to want to be hands of the people and then
Min-maxing
synergizes
Hands of
best
the People
with-
and Dwellers in the Endless Sea. Done.
Yep. Yeah.
See you all at level
That's the-
20.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, I'm an anthropologist. This game is built to be qualitative, not quantitative.
So you're going Dwellers, Ash?
If that's okay. If that's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
anyone
yeah,
else's,
yeah.
like...
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to keep track. So we've got some spirits, some weather, some dwellers.
Yeah.
It's islands or travelers, I think, but I'm not
Yeah,
entirely-
that's kind of what I'm leaning towards as well, because I feel
Yeah.
like waters is kind of like we've got that vague conceptual territory covered by weather. And it's important to have some islands in a sea
Yeah,
and some people on it too.
exactly. Yeah, so I'm curious about the difference between dwellers and travelers. So travelers are...
The dwellers, travelers on, dwellers in.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
Dwellers live down there.
Ah, right.
Yeah, like
right,
I
right.
was not
In
going
the
to choose
sea.
the sea monster bit thing, right? Like,
Yeah, right? Like, yeah, I said, hey, Ash, would you like to be a kraken or an island? Like, what are you going to choose?
Exactly. I think I'll go travelers.
All right, cool. In that case, I'll take islands. All right, so if you look at your aspect playbook, so your playbook for the people, the first column on the left will ask you to make some choices. So if everyone goes through and makes those choices now, and like this, feel free to like kibitz and like discuss that with each other. And then also, I think we've all got GM access, Ash, am I right?
You should all have GM access.
Yep.
Roll20's not
Yep.
loading for me now as well, so I'm using PDFs.
Yeah. All right. So anyone who does have access to Roll20, feel free to transfer your choices over onto the overall playbook for the people, so that we have it all like tracked in one place. And then we'll go around and like declare what we've picked.
Cool. Yeah, that was going to be my question of like
now,
where do we record them?
Who was it who picked the heart of the people? Em, was that you?
That was Andrew, I think.
Heart. All right. So Andrew, you have an additional choice to make. In that second column, it will ask you what our destination is. So you get to just pick that. And then I have a similar choice to make for when we set off on our journey. So everyone, do some picking, do some talking to each other, and then we can go onwards from there.
Definitely, like, it's interesting how, like, I'm like, yeah, I love the way that like, I can see my own, like, the things I always default to, just like coming out as soon as I look at the thing. I'm like, obviously we're going to have writing and map making, right? Like, obviously.
Yeah. What I haven't told any of these guys yet is that this game is actually a Rorschach ink test, and we're recording these results. It's a getting to know you game for friends. How do we? I've got like a kind of conceptual level question here. Do we want to have a people who are like superstitious or who are like proud of their heritage? Because I get to choose some ancestors and some taboos, and I don't know what balance of like which we want more of.
I love superstitious personally.
They're not wrong to be superstitious either, because they're fucking spirits of the endless sea, right? So
that's very true. That's very true.
I have also already selected that they have a deep respect for the terrible beauty and teeming life of the endless sea.
Yep.
So
solid choice. All right, I think I might. Okay, cool. I know what I'm gonna do.
And I was leaning toward as like one of my ritual choices, the last one, blood and flesh sacrificed to the water to call gods or spirits for speech.
Oh, it's a good choice. It's a good choice.
So, what do I choose? I choose 4. Okay.
Yep.
I'll go with that one.
So I'm choosing writing, map making, composing tales and chants, and shooting, skirmishing, fighting boat to boat as 2 of our like skills.
Yep. Those sound like pretty good options. Let me look. Andrew, do you have a choice for where we're going yet?
No, these choices are hard to make. It's a big responsibility, okay?
It is. It's a hard thing to be the heart of a whole people.
I mean,
yeah.
I also really want one of them to just be like off the edge of the world, but it's not there.
That's. I'm writing that down. That's great. I'm
like the whole journey is just like totally doomed. Is like I just want everything to be super dark. This is my
second edition. Second edition. I'm gonna put that in there. I'm gonna put you in the credits list.
Well, the thing that brought that to mind for me was just that you mentioned the voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Such a powerful image. But where are we going with all of this?
Oh, I'm gonna make a real bad decision.
Excellent. Do it.
So let's just give me a sense of what we're working with so far. So we offer sacrifices of blood to the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We're murderous, artistic, like boat warriors.
Uh-huh.
And
Who could also I've added
superstitious.
cold smithing and beating cold copper into shape. Like I feel like I'm picking all the skills that are not really appropriate to being on boats.
Yeah.
Which is not the best idea, but whatever.
Well, you want to have that when you're on the boat. You want to have like a good beaten copper spear to plunge into the heart of a sea monster or your enemies or whatever.
Yeah.
I just feel like like rowing, trimming sail, and climbing rigging would be useful, but also.
I mean that kind of presents a picture of a people who are not necessarily like always have been seafarers.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of an interesting direction, I think.
Or are we sufficiently militant that we just have slaves in the galley?
I mean, look, I think that would take this game to a darker place than anyone yet has taken it, but that's not against the rules. So
I'm just extrapolating on
I'm okay with
Ash's
that.
horrible choices.
I mean,
okay
like here's
with
the thing though.
Making value judgments.
Like slave taking is not in the list of things that we can be good at. So if we
Just because we're not
do
good
have
at it.
slaves, we're bad at it.
Of course, it's always bad. It's never good.
I mean, like, here's the
re-
problem. Here's the problem is that if we do have slaves, like, any restraints have to be made out of, like, wood and copper?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
That's
That's
fine.
as good as we've
could
got.
be a thing,
So-
but
So right now, I regret enormously letting any of you people play my game, but that's fine.
So this was
with
the
this
boundary
mix of people.
testing session, right? This is where we're going to really push it to the edge of.
That's right. You guys.
So in terms of the
this is-
choices that I've made with the voices, which are kind of like the laws and the tales that we've told ourselves in the ancient past, there's a lot of stuff of leviathans and monsters and bad things that have happened to us, and how we kind of got kicked out, and how we weren't necessarily always travelers. And so yeah, I've sort of lent my choices to being fairly dark, like we're fleeing things constantly. So,
Or we're like a people in exile. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
that. That's cool. That's cool.
So I'm not
how
going to choose joyfulness and merriment, a zest for life and its passions. Then I don't feel like that fits.
Just
It
unchoose
doesn't
that.
sound-
Just
It would be an interesting contrast.
yeah.
They do blood rituals and they're really cheerful about it.
Look, that might be something that we find along the way.
We just party a little too hard for everyone
Yeah.
else, and
That's
so they
right.
exiled us.
Exactly.
Isn't that an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender? I swear it is.
So we make. We're good at copper. We're good at. What were the other things you chose, Ash?
Rope.
so mine are writing, map making, composing tales and chants, shooting, skirmishing, fighting boat to boat, goldsmithing, beating copper into shape, and I'm trying to choose between carpentry, shipbuilding, and green woodworking, or cooking, smoking, curing, fermenting, and brining.
Those both sound practical.
Yeah,
I think you should choose something else entirely that's totally impractical. No, Jane.
Of those ones, I like the latter. I think because it seems like something that
I'm shocked.
is. Well, no, no, I didn't choose trees. I didn't choose trees, Luke. I like the other one that isn't trees. It's crazy. Because it sounds like something that we would probably be more likely to be able to do as like during travel, like preparing meats and things, rather than like things that rely on there being lots of trees to wherever we're going. But again, that's just thinking
Yeah, that makes sense.
So.
I mean, like I
Yep.
could do weaving, dye making, and rope spinning as well. But I think I like cooking, smoking, curing, fermenting, and brining. I like the idea that like we cook the things we kill.
I was gonna say it ties back into being very like, fleshy as a people.
Yep. So I've just picked a pair of taboos that totally aren't going to come back and bite us in the ass.
Oh yeah.
We must not disobey or give offense to named or known spirits.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't do that. That's bad.
Sounds like solid advice.
Yep.
Seems
And
reasonable.
we must not travel at speed when the warding sun cannot watch over us.
Okay.
So, only travel in daylight.
Only travel
Basically.
fast in daylight. I think we're allowed to like drift at night, but
Yeah.
like we can't go
That's
at speed.
inevitable.
That would be bad.
It's
And
dangerous.
also,
Yeah, exactly.
and also, is that open for interpretation as far as like how literally sun is meant? Like, if it is not nighttime, but it is like stormy.
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay, mysterious faces, cool.
Yeah,
right, so we don't
let's
know, but
see how that
it could
goes.
go either way.
The sun's behind the
This is-
clouds. Stop everything. Stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
play to find out what happens.
Well, the reason I ask is because I was choosing, one of my other choices is pouring blood and breath into the wind to brew up a savage storm.
Ooh, that's
So-
cool. That's cool.
So I'm just going to go ahead and, based on the fact that we sound like we're good at killing people and that we make blood sacrifices, I'm going
Yeah.
to choose that we have a deep respect for the sanctity of life and the weight of its loss.
Yes, exactly. Because that's the
How
balancing
else
factor,
it is
right?
how else is it a meaningful sacrifice if we don't have
You gotta
a deep
respect it.
value placed on
Exactly.
it, right? Like
Exactly.
This
I'm
is
thinking.
good.
I'm thinking to further complicate the taboos, because I was leaning toward this one anyway. There is one which is a ritual, bone-weighted nets and sacred smoke to bind or command gods or spirits, which ties in weirdly.
Yeah,
with
I
the,
know, I
the
dig
taboo,
that.
but like explains the taboo maybe. Like
Yeah, no, I
the
dig
reason
that.
that we care about that thing is because we have methods for doing so.
Yeah, no, totally. That's good.
Cool. All right.
That's great.
I've got my two values chosen, and then I've chosen a virtue, which is we value, or well, our virtues are caution, preparedness, planning for danger to protect the people. So I feel like this aligns with a lot of this stuff of like, oh yeah, we can deal with like giant sea monsters and gods. We have special nets and shit for that. We have like, we're armed against things. We've suffered some traumatic exile in the past, and we're never going to let anything bad happen to us ever again. We're not going to travel at night because it's scary. You know, we're just very safe, and yet also do these incredibly reckless things like offering blood into the water.
I love it. I love it. I think this is going to be
contradictions in here.
This is going to be just the funnest road trip over the ocean ever.
I mean, it doesn't sound exactly like you're crying, but it sounds pretty close.
Look, I mean, this game can go anywhere from like Ponyo to Tales from the Black Freighter, so like anything could happen.
Do I just make everything contradictory and choose that we're also have bravery, daring, courage, even in the face of great fear? Do we just go like fully?
Totally. I mean, because
fragmentary in our society?
I mean, let's remember, right, that like taboos do not necessarily originate out of fear.
Yeah, it can just
right.
be
Like it's entirely
better,
possible that we don't travel at night out of some religious obligation or whatever.
Yep.
And that those two things are compatible. Like I think pick what you think is interesting.
I think that ties into the superstitious thing again pretty well. Like maybe, you know, they have superstitions, but so long as they follow, you know, what their culture says they need to do about them, everything's fine.
As long as we're not breaking a taboo, we're brave as fuck. But when we break the taboo, whoa.
Then
now we're in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're just still in the first column. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
We're dwelling deeply in here.
Yep. I think so. I've got all of my 4. Andrew, it sounds like you've got your 4.
Curiosity, wonder, fascination with the mysteries of the world. So,
cool.
To review: curiosity, wonder, fascination with the mysteries of the world, caution, preparedness, planning for danger to protect the people, a deep respect for the sanctity of life and the weight of its loss, and a deep respect for the terrible beauty and teeming life of the endless sea.
Those are some pretty strong choices. So if you could just copy those over onto the overall people playbook for reference during play, that would be awesome. M, have you got all 4 of your rituals?
I've got 3. I'm just choosing the last one. The ones that I've currently chosen are, a ritual pouring blood and breath into the wind to brew up a savage storm. A ritual blood and flesh sacrifice to the water to call gods or spirits for speech. A ritual bone-weighted nets and sacred smoke to bind or command gods or spirits. And then for the 4th one, I'm really intrigued by the wording of stones and fire at dawn to unmake the dead into the kelp the people came from. That's really fascinating. I don't know if
metal
necessarily.
As fuck.
I know, right? I don't know. It certainly ties into like the kind of murderous nature, I guess, of these people. But I'm really curious about that whole kind of like, unmaking into kelp. I don't know if that ties in thematically to other things we've chosen.
I feel like that connects into this idea of respect for life, right? That even dead things still have a cycle of life to continue through.
Yeah, well, like, so kind of... from memory, I think elsewhere on the sheets there is a choice that like kind of relates to that.
I think.
Yeah, I think.
So I have a tale of how the people were made from steam and sand and kelp-tangled birds.
Wow.
That's cool.
From kelp we came, and to kelp we return.
Like, you're blaming us for this, but really, like, this game has got way too much metal shit in it for us to not, like,
it's got just enough. It's got a fantastic amount.
It does,
So it's either that one, or I go, dye spilled in the water with a prayer to show the way to the nearest land. Or I kind of, if we want to do something a little bit, again, like a bit of a contrast, there is one which is steaming kelp and sprinkled sand to welcome the newborn to the people, which is, the counter to all the death that we do. I don't know what.
I love anything
Those are
about
my-
babies.
Pardon?
I like things about babies. But
Mm-hmm.
you know me.
You didn't take the baby's choice, Ash. You could have
Sorry?
picked that we were good at midwifery, and you didn't. That's on
Is that
you.
on the list?
Yep. I believe so.
What do we think? Should we be good at finding the way to the nearest land, welcoming the newborn, or unmaking the dead?
I don't. See
I
Or is
really
it-
like Unmaking the Dead.
Ah.
It's a hobby of mine in my regular life that I like to bring into my role playing.
Maybe
Sweet.
the dead
Yeah.
are the slaves
Alright.
that power us.
Oh God.
Okay, yes.
No,
what
sorry,
if we
Ash.
have zombie boats? What if we have zombie boats? I'm just putting this out there.
See, zombie
Yeah.
Zombie
slaves,
boats
are
leave
they?
this
Yeah.
place.
Is
Are
it
they
really
ethically better
slavery
or
if they're dead?
worse? Exactly.
They're only kind of aware of what's happening with their body, and their spirits are only kind of trapped inside forever
Oh,
unless we
you're
unbind them properly.
All
But it's fine.
awful.
Hey Derek, can you type
We
your
got rituals
choices
for
into
that, it's
the-
cool.
Yes,
Exactly.
Ash.
The
Yes,
chat?
no, you're right. It is. I think you've got a slightly old copy of the Hands playbook.
okay, well,
Would you like me to
I've
update
not-
it for you?
I'm gonna keep my choices.
No?
As much as I like, I would have made that decision if I'd seen that there
Had the
originally,
option?
but now
Yep.
I've decided. Derek, can you type your
Yep.
choices into the Zoom chat so that I can copy and paste it into the document?
Oh God.
Don't panic or rush. Just yeah.
Okay. Maybe I run my choices by everybody.
I'd love to hear them, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got we've heard from Andrew and the Heart of the People. We've heard from M. We've heard from Ash. So yeah, Derek, if you run us through what you've chosen.
Which one did you take, Em? Did you take the baby one?
No, I'm gonna take the unmaking the dead one. So
Okay.
stones and fire at dawn to unmake the dead into the kelp the people came from.
Okay. Oh, now I have too many.
They're all so good.
Okay, so here's my 5, and maybe you can help me narrow it down to 4. A tale how the people left their God-smote island, aided by strangers in tall ships. A tale how many-hued ink fell from the heavens and set to form the islands. A tale how people were made, and from steam and stand and kelp-tangled birds. A tale how the Riddler swam down and learned from the world octopus. Now, cephalopods are my thing, so I'm keeping that one.
Sweet.
A tale how the people and the walking whales slew a leviathan in the upper airs.
Metal as fuck.
I mean,
Yeah.
I personally like the kelp one because it ties into the thing that I chose.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll lock those 2 in.
I have a question. Somewhere in here, I heard this notion of like us being exiled.
That was one of
Where-
the tales.
Where
Yeah.
did that come from? Yeah, which tale was that? Was that the being led away by
The
people in
Godsmote
tall ships?
Island? Yeah.
Or the Godsmote Island? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
so
Yeah,
that
I
was
really like that one too. Yeah.
I really like that idea of us being like
Right.
a diaspora
So
community.
it sounds like slaying a leviathan and the
and the
island
many-hued
forming.
ink fell from the heavens. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of love many-hued ink, right? Like
Yeah, that
that's-
one's really interesting.
I have
one-
lots of
that
thoughts
one-
about that one. So
That one is ripped shamelessly from Japanese mythology. I'm just gonna put that one out there.
Okay.
Cool.
There's
That's a
there's
very
myth.
like Okami vibe to it.
Yeah, well, there's a
Right? Like-
myth about droplets. I think of molten metal, but I don't quite remember, rolling off one of the great gods' sword and setting in the island to form the islands of Japan. And I was like, but what if colored ink?
Yeah.
all right, well,
That's-
I've got my
that's my
4.
game design
I'll,
face.
I'll copy them into the chat.
And so, given that we were driven from our homeland by cruel fate and god smiting and all this other nonsense, and that we have long been plotting our return, now is the time for our journey to our homeland, lost
Oh.
generations ago, but now ready and awaiting our return.
Yeah.
I like that a
Nice.
lot. So it's like we got kicked out, we went away, we became badasses, and now we're gonna go home again.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we're gonna go home or
Sweet.
die trying. Yeah.
And it's
awesome.
like we go back there and it's just abandoned or whatever, like
Yeah.
some
That's such a,
strange turn can await us. But
That's such an Old Testament kind of vibe, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I chose 2 taboos and 2 ancestors. So a taboo: we must not disobey or give offense to named and known spirits, and we must not travel at speed without the warding sun to watch over us. We have 2 famous ancestors: Sewol, the Spark Bringer. They kindled the sun at the Shrine of Sun Return, and their descendants are proud and kind. And Saga, the Salt Sage. They betrayed the lost land to its downfall, and their descendants are cunning and steadfast. And I suspect whatever shit happened to our island and any god smoting involved may have something to do with the second of those individuals.
Yeah.
sounds
But
like it.
I make no
Sounds
promises.
like a fella done fucked up.
Yep. All right, cool. So we're pretty much all ready to go. Oh no, I have another choice to make. Fuck. I got totally sidetracked. Okay. Okay, so we have to ritually prepare ourselves to make this uncertain voyage. Yeah, and as we set off on our journey to reclaim our homeland, I've got to pick what we've won through our preparations. Oh God, there's so many good options here. Why did I write this?
Why did
game
you
with
write so many good things?
Why did I do this?
Don't
Pat
be
yourself
so
on the back too hard here.
Yeah, I might sprain myself.
I'm so brilliant. It's a curse.
God.
It is. I feel like there's 2 options here that make sense. And I'm going to open it up to the group which ones we pick. So what we've already won is either the blessing and watchful protection of our chosen gods or spirits, or a ritual passed down from ancient times that evokes our ancestral heritage.
Yeah, those are both really good. I feel like that first one gives more interesting kind of like structure to this complicated idea that we seem to have about like gods and spirits and how to interact with them.
Totally.
So I can't decide if that makes me like it more or less.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the really obvious choice there, right, is like the god of the sun.
Yeah, true.
Given our ancestry.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I like that. All
right, in that case, I might pick that, and yeah, let's lock that in. So like our chosen god or spirit is the ruler of the sun, and they are the one who will watch over us as we go on our journey.
But then,
cool.
Well, I guess we'll play to find out. But like, I have all these questions about like, but then also, are they the one that smote us and drove us from our island?
Yeah,
or like.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Where were you then, son, when we were getting smote? Where were you?
Why do we even have a sun?
Why did we even kindle you?
It was nighttime. Gosh.
Right.
Look, just because it's night doesn't mean the sun can't be around. Come on.
Yeah, this is a fantasy game. God damn it. All right, cool. So that's that done. So now I'm gonna read out how encounters work.
Okay.
Probably if y'all are cool with it, I will lead the first encounter.
Okay.
So that you can all see how it works, and I'll do that like kind of the equivalent of like cards up in a poker game and like talk you through the process. So let's talk about the encounter procedure. So this is how it's going to work. Every time there is an encounter that is called for, we're going to choose a player to run that encounter. They are going to randomly roll a prompt from a table associated to their part of the Endless Sea. They're then going to read that prompt and then ask and answer silently to themselves the questions on their facet playbook about the prompt. If you all have a look at your facet playbook now, it asks like what this thing looks like and what makes it dangerous. So they'll answer to themselves like, well, what are the answers to those questions? And they can pick like as many things as they want. They're then going to describe the signs that signal like the arrival of that encounter and how the people kind of cite it and come into contact with it initially, then the remaining players are going to talk among themselves and choose a lead aspect to meet that encounter. Like, is it the hands of the people who will confront it, or is it the eyes of the people, or whatever? That choice can be based on strategic considerations. It can be based on what makes sense. It can be based on what seems most interesting, or just on like who hasn't had a turn in a while. Like, kind of whichever. That's up to you guys. That lead aspect player then gets to make a move from their playbook that lets them interrogate the fiction a little and ask some questions. And then they get to make a choice how the people will meet the encounter. Again, using a move on their playbook. And they say what that choice is, and then they describe what it looks like, and then they ask the person playing the Endless Sea whether it works or not. And then the Endless Sea player like thinks about it based on what makes sense and what is fair and what is common sense. And they say either, yes, it works completely, good job, here's what you win, or here is how many things you win. It works like partly or at a cost. Here's how much you win and here's how much you lose. Or no, it doesn't work. Here's how much you lose, and then come up with something else and try again. They don't get to say what those things are that are won and lost. They only get to say how many. And then the lead aspect player will nominate other aspect players to choose what is won and lost. And that's also on the sheets. And then the encounter's done, and then we do another one.
Cool. Sweet.
That's the game.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it is important to keep in mind, not all encounters need to represent like obvious threats, but they should pose some kind of danger to the people. But of course, that isn't to say they can't also offer like reward and opportunity if they're handled well. Yeah, so the play is going to last for, I think, 8 encounters. One for each of the 5 months of the people's voyage, a couple of extra ones that some of the other playbooks are going to get to choose, and then we will arrive at our destination, or maybe we won't. And presuming that we do arrive, the memory of the people will then choose how what ceremony we celebrate that with, and then that'll be the end of the game.
Cool.
Yep. So, let's get this thing started. So, over on the overall people playbook, Ash, if the stream can see us, if they could be looking at that, that would probably be good.
The overall people?
Yep. Actually, yeah. So let me just. There's a couple more things about the people we should probably talk about. They don't travel in ships. Their technology is not that good. They travel in rafts and kayaks. Maybe on one really big vessel, maybe in a flotilla of smaller ones. They have no organized religion, no like single god to whom they are absolutely sworn like 100%. Though it sounds like our people share on the whole a pretty strong belief in the god of the sun. But there are many beliefs and worships reflected among their number. They reckon the year in 12 months using a solar calendar. And then there are 6 months that our journey will last, and their traditional names are given in a list. So we begin at the close of summer with the first month called Plenty. Can someone please remind me what facet playbook I am playing, because I don't remember. It was either Islands or Travelers.
It was
You are
Islands.
the islands.
I were the Islands. Good. Thank you. That is helpful. All right. So I'm going to roll 1d8. Oh. 8. Cool. So the prompt that I have just generated, and I'm going to be totally transparent and just walk you all through this process. Yeah, the prompt I have chosen is a sandbar offering a little food and shelter. Around shipwrecks sway beneath the waves. So then I'm going to open up my facet playbook, and I'm going to choose what this thing looks like and what makes it dangerous. And then from there, I'm gonna start narrating the encounter, and we're gonna get this going. So, dum, bum, 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 bum. Cool. Ooh. Yeah, that's strong. That's a good choice. Okay, cool. So I have made my choices. So, yeah, we begin in the month of plenty. It's late summer. The sky is a beautiful, bright, cloudless blue overhead. The sun is shining down, kind of like warm and pleasant on the people's backs as they row. Do we have kayaks? Do we have rafts? How do we feel?
I like rafts personally.
I like what are the ones that have a trampoline in the middle? That kind of structure where it's like the two like one
Catamarans?
They have like,
I was
like
thinking that
catamaran.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that applicable?
sorts of
Yeah, I
things.
like that.
Yeah, totally. So, or maybe even like a mix of like kinds of vessel.
Yeah.
So
Kind of like a hodgepodge, like a group of cars from Mad Max. They're all different shapes and sizes and configurations.
I like the idea
Andrew?
that like we have like one that's made out of like the ruins of part of a tall ship.
Oh yeah.
I like
Like,
that.
not a whole
That's
tall
probably
ship,
the
just,
raft.
like, bits of it. Yeah.
Andrew?
So yeah, it says the people travel in rafts and kayaks, maybe on one great vessel or maybe in a flotilla. I don't quite understand what on one great vessel means.
Like a
in that context.
giant raft.
Oh, I see. So we would have, or like they're all like lashed together at some point or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like it's up to us like where on that spectrum of like one really big single vessel to like every person has their own canoe.
I kind of
Right.
like the idea of like completely makeshift, but like all stuck together, like just this like weird patchwork.
Like an amalgamation of many
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's almost like a
it's like
floating
one
island
monstrous- Yeah.
of
What's, like-
water
like-
vessels.
That
Yeah, right.
floating city in Waterworld, but like
Yep.
more mobile. And
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I'm picturing the weird boat with the coconuts on it in Moana, but like, yes, I see
yeah,
where
right,
you're going.
yeah. The same
Also, that makes me think
yeah.
of the trash island, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So the people are like on around the edges of this great floating island vessel are rowing, and I think the sails are up, and there's like a breeze blowing that's cooling them under the heat of the sun. I think
Okay,
the
so we
water.
do have sails. We do have sort of sail power and
I
technology.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I suppose we do now.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the water all around is like a bright turquoise blue. This is probably quite a shallow part of the Endless Sea, and I think down below there's like teeming like fish and sea life, and that's why this is called the Month of Plenty, because it's very easy to get food here. And I think it's drawing to the end of the Month of Plenty. It's like very near the end of summer itself. When we come across in the distance a sandbar. It's a quite a long sandbar, barely sticking up out of the water, but on it there are some trees growing, and I think there is what looks like a natural spring somehow welling up out of the sand and then washing into the waters of the Endless Sea. And so I think while it is easy in the Month of Plenty to get our hands on fish and food, I think it is not perhaps so easy to get our hands on fresh water. And so the people turn their course and head towards this island to resupply. So which aspect is going to meet this encounter of those of you remaining?
Did you mentioned in the original prompt, but not in the description, that there were shipwrecks? Is that a thing that we do not observe at this point in
I
time?
don't think you're close enough yet.
Cool.
We'll get to that.
That's good.
I've got a plan.
Sorry.
And so to deepen my understanding here, if
Yep.
say I were to go into it and be like, yo, the hearts of the people are
Yep.
what's going to deal with this threat.
Yep.
How does that kind of how do we characterize that within our fiction that we're creating?
Yeah, so the aspects of the people are not like individual people. They are like qualities that the people as a whole possess. So if it's the hearts of the people, that means that it's like our courage and or ruthlessness, and like the way that we will engage with this is through our emotions and our values, not through like our skills and our craftsmanship, or through our like negotiating skills and our like knowledge of lore or whatever.
Yeah, so then for example, if it was that our stories were what was addressing this, and this would be us drawing on like our history and like, oh yeah, we have a story about something like this.
Yeah.
Or drawing on our knowledge. Okay, cool. That makes complete sense to me now.
Yep.
Sounds
And if it helps, on your aspect playbook,
This is this is the section for when you lead the people through an encounter.
Yeah, so this will be when an encounter presents itself, which is your fiction
okay.
interrogating move, and then when you lead the people through an encounter, which is your like choose a course of action move.
So when it kind of presents itself, it says the person playing the Endless Sea will describe the first signs of it. As lead aspect, describe how. So the person playing the Endless Sea is not lead aspect. We're choosing the lead aspect. Okay.
Yeah, I am the person playing the Endless Sea.
Yeah.
And so I don't get to vote on who gets to be lead aspect. It's not my job.
It sounds to me like maybe the heart or the hands.
I feel like the heart.
You reckon the heart? I mean, there is that thing about like caution, preparedness, and like respect for the teeming life of the Endless Sea. Those things seem relevant here.
Like the hands are almost like there isn't a clear enough danger to deal with this, right? Like.
So I'm going to put forward a counterpoint. So like Ash, I think I agree with you that like hands don't quite seem. This is too like abstract a problem for hands to jump immediately to mind.
There's
But
no storm. Yeah.
I feel like stories actually are what are going to get the people through this, because this is a situation where it seems so easy, but we kind of already know, right, that it's dangerous.
Yeah, right?
It
like,
must
so,
be
so like
because
the
it's an
stories might warn
encounter.
us.
And so this is the thing where like maybe we want to leap in, but then there's someone who like the old crone or whatever was like, oh, don't go to the spring on a sandbar in summer.
How do you feel
It's
about
always
that, Derek?
cursed.
So voices.
I feel good about that. I've been leaning that way myself. I can have a stab at it.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
I would love
We're
to see
learning the
that.
game.
Yeah.
We're all learning
Go
the
for it.
game.
All right,
All
so
right.
voices of the people it is? Yep. So, so you now get to ask you get to kind of describe the old crone for us, so to speak, and then ask one or two of the questions from when an encounter presents itself.
Sorry, say that last bit again.
So there's a move called, it is the third column on your aspect playbook. It's the one at the top. When an encounter presents itself. Yeah, so you get to ask one or two of the questions from that list and get to kind of describe to us how the people learn or know that, which I like the idea of the old crone, but I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah. So the old crone, when the call goes up and the sandbar is spotted and people start to cry out and point, the old crone kind of pulls herself up to her full height and spreads her arms and calms everybody. She is an imposing figure. She has a enormous head of dreadlocked hair that goes all the way down to her waist, and woven in between the dreadlocks of her hair are three things: kelp, from which we came; sand, from which we came; and water, from which we came. Steam and sand and Sorry, four things. The last thing is the bird's feathers. We came from kelp tangled birds. So she embodies the spirit of the first ancestors, and she says, we must go to the sandbar, we must take from it our water, and we must respect the creatures that live there. Touch nothing, harm nothing. The month of plenty has given us great bounty, and whatever is there must remain untouched. And then she sits back down.
Cool. All right. And what questions would you like to ask?
Okay, so I've got one or two.
One or two, up to you. Whatever seems fair.
What tales of warning do you know of this thing or things like it? What tales of opportunity do you know of this thing or things like it? What tales of joy or sorrow? What patterns or natural laws govern this thing's actions? How well do you know this phenomenon, recorded, rumoured, whispered, unknown? To whom does the spirit of this thing call, and to whom does it whisper? What manner of being or process made this thing, or is it its own? I think we're going to have to go with opportunity. We see an opportunity to replenish our water stocks. So I think
you ask the question. I will tell you what the opportunity is.
Okay.
Yep.
What tales of opportunity do you know of this thing or things like it?
Let me see. All right, so I think as the people like spring to the old crone's command, and you all come like closer, I think the people at the front of the big raft start to see that the sand of the island isn't actually sand. It looks something like snow and something like ice, but it's in tiny, like sand-sized little fragments. And it's sitting there in the water, which is quite warm under the midday sun, and it's not melting. And I think there are tales of the benefits of this substance, both as a way to keep fresh food fresh for longer, and also as a means to work with water to make kind of like ice in ways that is not entirely natural.
I like that would be a thing that we would know about because of our like curing and preserving meats thing.
Yeah,
like,
right.
About things that.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a second question, voice of the people?
Oh, there's a couple of good ones here. Now, so can I make this determination based off the information that you've just given me?
Yeah, absolutely.
How well known is this phenomenon? Recorded, rumoured, whispered, unknown.
I think this particular sandbar is unknown. Like I don't think that people were expecting to find one exactly here.
Sure.
But I think this phenomenon is recorded.
So we've known about it.
Yeah, you like these sandbars. There is more than one of them, and they are a known factor. But I think it has been long enough since the people last encountered one, since you didn't choose any of the questions about danger, that I don't think that people remember what it is that is specifically dangerous about them. But there is some danger to them as well as opportunity.
Okay.
So, the boats continue to come closer, and you start to see down in the water around the sandbar, maybe like to a distance of about like 20 meters out, like a reef of ice under the water. And then at about that 20 water mark, almost like there's a knife that's just cut through, there is an abrupt shift in color from like clear crystal and ice to rotten browns and grays and blacks and like weird kind of coral colors as the reef continues and dwindles.
I like the way that like we can see the ice in the water. Like that tells us something very clear about it, right? Like if it were if it were clearer ice, we wouldn't see it.
Yep. So Derek, you now get to pick. Now you now get to lead the people through an encounter.
Okay. So yeah, that was going to be my next question. So am I the lead throughout this entire?
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah.
lead.
So you are now leader for this encounter.
So you're now doing
All right.
3, row 2.
Yep. So third column, second bit.
Second thing, when you lead the people through an encounter, choose one course of action from below and describe how they meet it. Approach it relying on their beautiful songs and poetry to make a connection. Do we have songs and poetry as some of our other aspects?
I think
Songs and
that's-
poetry is your domain. So
It's your
yes,
domain.
I think that people always have those things.
Right.
That's not a skill you have to pick.
Approach it relying on ruthfulness and heartfelt whispers to touch its heart. Truthfulness, sorry, not ruthfulness. Truthfulness and heartfelt whispers to touch its heart. Approach it relying on their courtly manners and knowledge of etiquette. Approach it relying on their fine trade good and merchant's cunning. Approach it relying on veiled speech and riddles learned from ancestor spirits. Confront it relying on ancient customs and riddles to bind it to their will. Avoid it relying on proper offerings and valuables and goods to appease it.
I love
Considering-
that last one, but
Go ahead, Andrew.
oh no, I was just saying I love that last one personally.
Yeah. I don't know if we're
What was the
avoiding it.
one- What was the one, the second to last one?
Confront it relying on ancient customs and riddles to bind it to their will.
That was interesting too, but totally opposite to the last one.
Yeah,
Confronting
so
it
it-
and avoiding it.
It is also worth putting out there, folks. This is a decision for the lead aspect to make. There is, obviously some degree of kibitzing is allowed, but like
Yeah, sorry.
ultimately,
Cool.
when you're lead aspect, you are the one making the decision. You're the one steering the ship, and you're the one who gets blamed if the ship goes down.
Right. um, Gosh. I feel like we want to approach it. I still think we want to keep going in. We haven't seen any danger yet, so aside from it being sort of icy, but that presents an opportunity as well. So, given that, given the speech that the crone has already made, I think I want to choose the second one, relying on truthfulness and heartfelt whispers to touch its heart.
All right, and what does that like describe to us? What that looks like, but not the success or failure, and then ask me if it works, and I will answer your question.
So the crone starts singing a song of our ancestors, and it talks about how they struggle and they are tough and they overcome, and they are led by wise people and strong people, and sometimes we need to borrow from the world in order to continue our journey. Sometimes we need to bring fish up from the ocean and kill them and eat them. Sometimes there is a trade-off where we need to take things from islands and take from the natural world, and it's all about the balance. And she sings this song, and as we get closer and closer to the edge of the shoreline, and when she finishes the song, we rock up to the edge of the shore. If that's not too...
Yeah, no, that's great. And then you say the magic words.
The magic words.
Does it work?
Yeah, you're meant to
you have
ask
to ask.
the lead
You have
threat.
to ask. Yeah.
So I have to ask. Sorry.
You have
Does
to ask
Yes.
them
what
if
is it?
it
It's the
works.
last part of the move.
Does her song work?
Yeah. Does this course of action work?
Yep.
I'm gonna say. I think it works partly or at a cost. I think the people step onto the island and all is well. I think the people go over to the trees that grow up out of this strange icy sand and all is well. I think one of the people or several of the people go over to gather water. Some using implements and some just to drink because it is quite a warm day. And I think the spirits of this place whisper like a warning about the nature of this island, but I think the warning comes slightly too late. Because the water of this spring, though it is cool and clean and it is not saline, transforms the substance of that which touches it into ice, if it is organic material.
Oh no.
That's what happened to all those ships that are now a reef. That may or may not be what's happened to the people who just touched the water. So I think I'm going to say 2 things are won and 1 thing is lost. So now, as the lead aspect, you choose which of the other aspects will choose what has been won and what has been lost.
So do I do the lost thing first?
So you ask one of us.
Yes, you nominate
what is
people
lost,
to make
and-
those choices.
Yeah. So you don't choose
okay.
off your sheet. You ask
Yeah.
us to choose off our sheets, and you choose who chooses which things.
Yep. And everyone remember, it's underlined because it's important. You can always not pick from the list and just answer something that makes sense, if there is something that's just strikingly obvious.
All right.
Derek, which of us should ask? Which of us should decide on what's lost?
Yeah. Ash, I was going to pick you to decide what was lost.
All right. I've got some great options here. One of the strongest or swiftest people, swiftest among the people, is crippled.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think, do you want me to elaborate on that, Luke?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us
alright,
what does
cool.
that look like in the fiction?
Yeah, one of our brave warriors definitely like strides forth to claim the water for the people and like touches it, and his arm instantly like turns to ice as he tries to scoop it into his mouth. And,
yeah.
He recoils quickly enough that it doesn't destroy him fully, but
But that was his spear arm.
yeah.
Yeah, his arm is lame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
Ash.
does
if
his
you-
arm stay there? What does his arm look like? Does he have like a frozen
Like it's
spike
turned
hand?
to ice, right? Like I imagine that in my head it just shatters off, right?
Yeah. No.
That sounds
That's
horrifying.
awful, but also
Yeah.
good.
There is the sound of breaking ice and horrific screaming.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. So Ash, if you want to, on the overall playbook, people playbook, there's a section to
Yeah.
record things won and things lost. So if you want to write that down in things lost, because that's the first thing that's lost, and if you can give that person a name, please. There's a name list on the top of that sheet.
Yep.
So Derek.
So, sorry, just to pause a second. Do we all have different things
have-
that are lost?
Yeah. So
Yeah, exactly.
every choice list is distinct between playbooks.
So when you say to me, right, Ash didn't choose something that's lost, you're saying we lose something practical. Whereas if you ask Emily to choose something that's won, then you're saying we gain
Witchcraft
something
shit.
in her
Yeah.
realm.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Emily is memory. Luke, or can I choose you, Luke?
Nope.
Okay.
The only exception being, if a whole shit ton of things are won or lost, and there's too many for the number of players other than you, like if 4 things collectively are won or lost, then I can be the 4th if I have to be, but otherwise you can't choose me. No.
Okay. So I can't. So when I choose what is one, I need to choose 2 different people.
You don't have to. I would encourage you to, but like you are the lead aspect. This is your time to shine.
All right. Well, I think we choose Emily and Andrew to pick something that is one.
Cool. Who would like to go first?
You're muted, Anne.
I can go first if you want.
Sure.
By all means.
Okay, so something that is one. Hmm. Ooh. Okay, I kind of like. I don't know if this is too ties in too much, but
Go for it.
I'm going to go with it anyway. I'm going to choose one of the people is changed or chosen and becomes a priest or sorcerer. I think this is something that happens to. Do we have a name for our
Wyan.
unarmed? Wyan? Did you say?
Yeah.
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 I think there is sort of like a scene after the people have brought wine back to like the flotilla, and they take. Do we have pronouns for wine?
He, yeah.
Okay.
He-
They take him to the crone, and sort of like present him to her, and I think she places a blessing upon him, and says that your time as a warrior is past, and now you must lead us in a new way. And I think she gives him like a ritual marking of blood, probably, and tells him that he is now the keeper of these ice magics. And
Yeah, okay, so he's
his job too.
He's a sorcerer, not a priest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Cool,
sorcerer.
cool.
It's his task now to learn the secret of this ice and how to wield it.
I'm kind of picturing him being baptized also with some of the ice sand. Like it's blood and ice sand smeared on his forehead or something.
Yeah, so she like, and that's
Yeah.
great because again that ties into like the determination of these people, because he's just like lost an arm, but
It's probably
she
blood.
like,
It's his
scars
blood
him.
from the wound and the ice sand, and he's now got this like frostbitten like mark down his
frost
forehead.
scar.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Andrew, heart of the people, speak to us.
So I feel like this moment is kind of fractious for the like community, because we had this kind of like spiritual leader figure who's just like, yeah, we got this story about how we're great, we're gonna persevere and all this shit, and then like dude walks up and just fucking his arm freezes and shatters off, and she's like, yeah, no, it's cool, you're a priest, you're a sorcerer now, it's great. And so I think the more practically minded people are just like, what the fuck? Did you see this shit? Look at this shit that's happening. This is crazy. And so there is this decision that is made amongst those who are in charge of like what we collectively put in our bodies, who are just like, no more weird shit in our bodies. Everything must be processed before we consume it. And so like that goes for water, that goes for food, because we're already all about like pickling, preserving things. There's this new rule where it's just like, okay, we're going into the like crazy endless ocean areas, a bad place, and we must rely on our like traditional skills to like incorporate this alien material into our own kind of like artificial biome that we are going to port around with us.
Yeah, we got to boil the water before we drink it.
Yeah, like immolate the ice island before we drink the water from it.
That's very Mary Douglas. I'm into it.
So yeah,
cool. Awesome. All right, so yeah, if you put that in, things one. And then Ash, I feel like this is probably maybe a good time for a break.
Yeah, I was gonna say that if we're finished our first encounter, then we'll
Yeah, and then
have
we're done, and the people sail onwards past the strange sandbar of ice.
Yep, cool. And we have
And-
like our like fade to ad break as we pan across the sea behind them in the wake.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. All right, we'll go and grab a tea break. Bye.